In exclusive footage shown tonight for the first time, you can see this drone, filmed by Newsnight, delivering a large package to HMP Wandsworth in South London last month. It's been described as a threat to national security and a problem which could see prisoners lifted out of jail. Drones, operated by criminal gangs, are delivering drugs and weapons into prisons across the country, with the Chief Inspector of Prisons, Charlie Taylor, warning that some jails have effectively ceded their airspace to criminals. In exclusive footage shown tonight for the first time, you can see this drone, filmed by Newsnight, delivering a large package to HMP Wandsworth in South London last month. This was filmed at 3:30 in the morning, behind the Category B men's prison, which houses sex offenders and terrorists. As you can see, the drone is carrying a long package held on a string. It's dropped inside the prison walls and then flies off. The government told us it is taking action, with £10 million being spent on anti-drone measures, but wouldn't comment on the footage we filmed. Now, we asked for an interview with a minister, but our request was declined. The Metropolitan Police told us that 2 nights before Newsnight filmed the drone drop at HMP Wandsworth, they responded to another drone seen in and around the prison. On that occasion, a knife and Class A and B drugs were recovered alongside the drone itself. 4 men have been arrested and bailed pending inquiries. Now, Tom Wheatley is the president of the Prison Governors Association. Thanks for joining us, Tom. How big a problem is this?
It's a significant problem. It's also a growing problem. So this probably started around 2012, 2013. We started to see contraband entering prisons by drones around that time. And now this is happening every day. And it's happening on multiple occasions in some prisons, during a 24-hour period, and in multiple prisons around the country on the same evening.
So you're not surprised by that footage?
I'm not surprised at all, unfortunately.
It seems pretty shocking to actually see it happen, so brazen.
It is shocking.
Yeah.
It is shocking because we have been able to rely on the measures that we normally take to prevent things coming into prison, so searching of people, restrictions about access to prisons. We've been able to deal with the way that criminals try to get drugs into prison. We've basically now got a gaping hole in our ability to prevent that. And drugs coming into prison don't just cause harm to prisoners who take them. There's a whole illicit economy and violence and enforcement that goes with that make prisons less safe and us less likely to be able to rehabilitate people in them.
And just to give viewers a sense of what this is, these are not the small drones you buy in electric stores. These can carry like 10 kilos. They could obviously carry a gun potentially, or would do. Or
so absolutely potentially. We have yet to encounter that. We think, we've certainly not discovered guns in prisons in recent years. Okay. Guns have made their way into prisons before. The Whitemoor escape involved prisoners having access and shooting at prison officers. So there is no practical reason why guns couldn't come into prison via this means. I think the real issue is that it's not in anyone's interest at the moment, because this is a lucrative trade run by serious organised criminals.
Business, right?
Absolutely.
Okay. Why can't they just be jammed?
So probably the fact that technology moves on fairly quickly.
Yeah.
There are various companies who are in the market selling technology that they claim prevents drones from entering. Yeah. And the investment required to put those systems in place and to maintain them and to renew them, because technology moves quickly, just simply hasn't been there.
And the technology, as you say, in the drones, it's sort of surpassing the ability to control it, and part of this is what's going on all around the world.
Yes, we see, if you just go onto the internet, you look at YouTube videos, you can see it happening all over the world. There are even people advertising their services on TikTok as drone pilots to bring things into prison. If you want something
remotely?
brought in, yeah, contact me, I can do it. It is really that problematic, and this even occurs in our high security prisons. The Chief Inspector of Prison pointed out particular problems following inspections that he did at Long Lartin and Manchester. Those places house our most dangerous people. They house terrorists. We need to plug this gap.
So, I mean, even at the highest security, I mean, there may be limits on what you can say here, but do they not have technology to shoot them down? Does that sound a bit simple? But, you know, I think there is like a special drone gun, isn't there?
I think there are issues about where prisons are. So if you consider Manchester Prison, which is in an urban area with people moving around outside it, these drones are actually quite big. As you point out, they're not the toy shop things that we see. And if we were to shoot one down, the chance it would fall and injure someone or damage somebody else's property is significant. But that balance has got to be changing over time.
I think we're just showing some pictures now of the drone guns being used in a wartime situation in Ukraine, where obviously they're being deployed in a different environment. And I mean, there was one reference we saw about the capacity of the drones could get so big that they can maybe, it's not ludicrous to say that eventually they could carry a prisoner out.
We have seen
far-fetched?
We have seen in an English prison a helicopter-assisted escape. You know, that's something that we have to guard against. But the availability of cheaper means to lift someone out of a prison pose a significant risk.
Richard, you were the former Shadow Justice Secretary. It's pretty serious to say that when the Chief Inspector says that the skies have been seeded above our prisons.
Well, it's really serious, and what Tom has explained shows why we can't rely upon technology alone in terms of jamming to solve this problem. But look, the prison system is in a complete mess. Prisons are really dangerous places, both for inmates but also for staff, and prison officers do such a difficult job in such difficult circumstances. And I know that there's been a recruitment drive after the cut in prison officers' numbers many years ago under the Conservatives, but there's a big problem with many prison officers being off work, often due to being the victims of horrific attacks or other unpleasant incidents. And when you've got overcrowded prisons as well, that fuels you know, the behaviour from prisons and the whole environment, which it makes it much harder to keep order. So I think there's a big issue in terms of ensuring our prison service is properly invested in. But also I think we do need to look more widely, and as David Gork and others have been saying, you know, obviously people who commit violent and sexual offences need to be in prison, but in terms of very short sentences for non-violent and non-sexual crimes, I think it would work far better to have people subjected to really rigorous community rehabilitation orders, but that would mean properly funding the probation service, which is something we haven't seen yet.
Okay, Rachel, I mean, there was obviously a funding issue around the MOJ that's lasted 10, 15 years. They can barely afford the basics, let alone the latest tech to shoot down this new menace of drones.
Yeah, what I found striking in the Chief Inspector's report was one of the prisons, I think it was Manchester, didn't have basic metal netting. I mean, this is not just about jamming drones, this is about complete basics in place. And we obviously are going to need to spend more on keeping prisons secure. Leaving aside whether you think short sentences, I don't think the answer to drugs being rife in prisons and drones is, well, let's have fewer people in prisons. We need to have the prisons secure. But one of the other things he said, which I thought was interesting, is that even when that budget exists, prisons are often not able to make sensible decisions on their own. So I think we obviously are also going to have to change the system by which prisons can do this. I should just say that
Shabana Mahmood, who's the Justice Secretary, was talking about this in Parliament last week, and she was saying that they are going to be trialling anti-drone netting on the sort of the high security prisons. And she was talking about the government spending 40 million on physical security for prisons at 34 prisons, particularly aiming at anti-drone measures. And they're also going to be trialling the use of tasers, but then naturally she made a political point, which was to say that between 2019 and 2023, the last government, the number of drone sightings increased by 770%.
Tasers to shoot down the drones?
I would imagine it would be, she didn't go into that detail, I would imagine that would be used.
Well, I remember Liz Truss in the House of Commons chamber when she was Justice Secretary raised a smile accidentally, not for the first or last time, by saying she was going to pilot drone deterring dogs that would bark at drones.
Okay, well,
that wasn't going to work.
Does any of this stuff work?
So some of it works, not drone deterring dogs.
Yeah.
But some of it works, but it's got to be continued to be invested in order to keep it working, because you develop technology, that technology is overcome by the criminal gangs that are using drones to enter our prisons.
It's extraordinary, isn't it? Because, you know, you look at the Defence Review, where we're going to become a drone superpower. Like, if this can't even defend the prison estate, I guess in the same, if we've got the world's most amazing drone technology, we should be able to secure the skies above our prisons.
Indeed.
You would think. Extraordinary stuff. Well, thanks for that insight, Tom, into the world of our secure prisons.